Well, I've worked my entire life. At 18, I went to school at UC Berkeley to study art. And I studied with the Bay Area figurative artists primarily. And then I also studied scenic design and worked as a set designer in Mexico and in Chicago. So my things have a theatrical flair always, you know. And then after that, I went to graduate school in Chicago, at the University of Chicago, in painting and drawing. And since then, I've taught art for 20 plus years, but primarily at the Savannah College of Art and Design.
In Savannah?
Yeah, I was a professor there for 12 years. And,
They have an Atlanta too.
And I moved here in large part because my son lives here in Madison County. So I live in Marshall. And I teach part-time at Warren Wilson. And I teach art history at Blue Ridge Community College. Art and art history.
That sounds cool.
And a large portion of my body of work is based on this particular series. And the series is called Beyond Reconstitution. And it has a little bit to do with that, what I was telling you, that all these cultures collide and explode and make a new story and give things a new narrative and new meanings. Postmodern and also post-colonial theory is something I'm interested in. And post-colonial theory basically says that nothing can be seen without looking through the lens of colonialism, slavery, and globalism, that everything is inherent, like one cultural product from a third world country isn't seen on the same level as European art and so forth. And so in this kind of process, I even out the playing field so that something from the West is invaded or imposed on by ethnic work from third world countries. Yeah, the baby's from, looks like Bali, you know. And
looks like a doll.
Mother is definitely a mixed race family, you know. But the setting and also kind of the quotidian mountainous lifestyle, you know, and the rifle culture, gun culture. So there's things I find wherever I live that things tend to influence me. I lived in Savannah for a long time, and it was a very clear awareness that you didn't have to dig that deep to start finding chains and start finding, deeds for slaves. It's just all below the surface, right? But you can be forceful when you discover that to present it. It's better if it comes to you naturally, you know, without forcing it.
If not, it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, that's awesome. Let's see.
What is a mind-blowing experience that I could expose my students to? And I really think this is one of the most beautiful artworks, just this house and you guys and everything that is anywhere around here, you know. So my idea was this would be much more exciting than taking them to the Asheville Museum of Art, you know. And I also like the idea that there's always a sense of making art that you're making something that is for sale or that's an object to be created and transformed. But in your case, you made an artwork that's a living artwork where people meet and gather, come up with ideas, come up with social ideas of how to treat the local ecology and all of that, you know. So it's I think art shouldn't be selfish. I think it should be generous, and I think your artwork is generous. You know, and so that's kind of the underlying idea of why I thought it would be better to do something like this than your standard museum trip. We're here at Azule. I'm here for a week-long residency.
Yeah, I'm here for about 10 days.
And we've known each other for 8 years. We didn't happen a chance reunion, but John and I used to work together at the Savannah College of Art and Design. I was a professor at the time, and John was a graduate student, so it's nice re-encountering after so many years. I was calculating, you know, I probably worked with about 600 graduate students at the Savannah College of Art and Design, and maybe 600 undergrads that eventually many of them went on to get MFAs. So usually when I go to a residency, if there's more than 12 people, there's a really good chance that one of those 12 will be a student of mine. And
Wow.
It's interesting in that case. It does make you feel like you've had some influence or some type of impact on the art world as a whole, you know?
Yeah.
And we're both just professional artists, you know? Pretty much everything I do is either to make time to paint, or make art, or to figure out how to make art, you know? So, and you're the same way, right?
Yeah, just constantly
So
hustling.
if you have a job, that job, the ultimate goal is to give you enough money to make art, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it does. It feels, for me, it does still feel like, just seeing him, I still feel a little bit like I gotta follow certain rules or something. The good thing is that you were always like, from what I, took away was that like, just do your thing, kind of. You never had like real specific, like you can't use this color or this,
No.
those kinds of things. And your work has really always been like,
especially with
pretty
graduate students,
Yeah.
You just expect them to have understand, and if they don't about technical skills or colors or things, if they need it, they'll ask.
Yeah,
But otherwise. So I don't think you saw this one either.
Oh wow.
But you can even write anything. For example, here, it just says POW.
Nice.
And I kind of like that. I almost always have a UFO in one of them.
Oh, yeah.
And every one has a UFO.
And that looks like that same kind of
Nice.
character that showed up later.
Oh, yeah. I also noticed I like to put wheels on feet, like roller skates.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
wheels on a fish, or,
Kind of like just emotions.
A lot of it's about traveling,
Oh, that's interesting. So these are kind of about wanting to go places.
Here's some aliens.
Cyclops aliens.
Cyclops aliens.
Oh, that is cool. Very cool.
It starts smudging. And,
So you sand the black so that it'll take the gel pen, is that right?
Just 'cause at some point, the surface, if you just sand it very smoothly with a very high grit sandpaper, you can get the surface just much smoother.
Okay.
And it takes the pen a lot better.
That's cool. Yeah, see there, it changed colors. Wow.
Yeah, they're getting more kind of complicated in that way.
Wow.
Like I have over 100 of them already started.
Wow. Let's see one that really has the tonality so you can really tell. Because that was really cool. The
Yeah, you could just say iridescent.
Iridescent.
Because people won't know what interference is necessarily.
Oh, yeah, that one you can really tell. Oh, yes, wow.
Let me see.
With the nice sort of framing. Oh, yeah, that one you can really tell. how it changes.
Side, you know.
Oh, what about the taping on the thing?
Like how I create a border and a margin, you know, by taping it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're not. I like that I have room for a signature. It looks more like printmaking, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, you would be forgiven if you think it was a print.
But when I started, then I did one entire one to each page.
Oh, so that was a kind of a departure. Was a this one? Wow, that one has a lot of like right there. I can. That one's really. It's like looks like a crazy snail. Huh.
It is like some crazy snail. I like that particular form too.
Yeah.
This one's a little weird. You know?
That is. When did you do this one?
They've all been here at Azule, but this year, yes.
Very cool.
Compose and arrange?
Wow. Brilliant.
Let me start over.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's just different, you know.
so cute, I wish I could dance.
Anyway, that's just thank you. Anyway, that's a little.
Yeah, Morgan.
That's just so late.
You saw the silo, right? The painting of the silo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Right, we'll have to work on that.
You look at some of these artists, and when you project them, they look the same. You know, like Courbet doesn't look that different in the way that they were painted than some of the Renaissance or Greco or something. But when you see the actual paintings in person, you see how much more aggressively it's painted or how much.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you are famous for mixing all of them.
I mix all of them.
You're very famous for that.
Yeah. I'll show you my work before the end of the term.
You haven't seen it?
You have never seen, you've never seen his work?
A couple,
awesome.
yeah.
He mixes them and then he goes through, what is the tool that you put them through the atomic
Oh,
mixer? What is that?
Goes through the
What
atom
is-
quantum or the
Yeah,
collider,
The
hadron
quant- He's
collider.
putting all the artists into the quantum collider.
Comes out
And
as
his
his work.
painting come out at the other end.
Yeah, my artist statement says, imagine that you were in a museum and you could just throw random shit into the hadron collider and you get like these light speed explosions that then would create different images and different stories and yeah.
And it really does work on your work. I mean, Japanese and Chinese art and mixed with Inca and European and
French scenes of everyday life.
yes.
didn't have art history. As I got older, much older and retired, my sister was art history.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started reading about it online or wherever I could get it, It really makes a difference in your world of appreciation of who they were,
Yeah.
why they did what they were doing.
And how did you find about the Azule residency?
My friend Morgan, I met Morgan up in Vermont Studio Center, I think like 4 or 5 years ago. And then I visited him out here once, and he told me about this, I think like a year ago. So yeah, I saw pictures, it looked beautiful and artsy and wonderful.
I've actually had a chance. I think we've both followed our careers a little bit over social media and stuff. And so it's been nice just following his professional trajectory and his creative work. And it was an honor to work with you.
Yeah, it was nice to have you as a professor. And, but yeah, I've been following your work for, online. It's made it a lot easier.
And you've seen my studio in Savannah at some point too, right? Maybe a class visit or something like that.
Yeah.
Those were always fun to do. We weren't actually allowed to have students to visit our studios if they were in our private homes.
Oh.
So I always was breaking a rule. It always seemed to me like what fun is it having someone kind of guide you if you don't have a clue what their own creative integrity or production is like. So for me, part of the teaching process was very much opening my studio, occasionally, but to students, especially groups that I particularly appreciated working with.
Yeah, I went there with a group.
And you graduated with a very dynamic, great group from Savannah College of Art and Design.